This Late Night Linux Family podcast is made possible by our patrons. Go to latenightlinux.com/support for details of how you can join them. Support us on Patreon for access to ad-free episodes and early releases. That's latenightlinux.com/support. Hello and welcome to episode 342 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 14th of July 2025. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelan.
The peasants are revolting.
Graham.
Bonsoir.
And Will.
Baguette.
Yes, of course, it's Bastille Day in France. Well done. I think we need a bit of that over here.
Still trying to catch up.
Let's do a bit of news then. Stop Killing Games consumer movement hits some major milestones. Have you lot heard about this Stop Killing Games movement?
Only through Gaming on Linux's coverage, and I'm really glad that they have covered it, because it sounds like a good idea. I'm going to hold my skepticism that MPs and British politicians don't even know what video games are, but anyway, it's a good idea.
Yeah, so this is all from this annoying, great YouTuber called Accursed Farms. I tried to watch his videos and I was like, I just couldn't. But he's got good intentions, so fair enough. So apparently there was a game called The Crew, and Ubisoft just shut it down. And people who paid for it, even relatively recently, just couldn't play it anymore. And so that has started this movement. And various petitions have been signed by loads of people. The UK one got over 100,000 signatures, which means that Parliament has to consider it for a debate. Well, they considered it and said no. So that was sort of the end of that.
Well, the EU one has 1.3 million of 1 million goal, yet the graph shows it at like about 75% of its requirement. So good to see things are working over here.
Mm-hmm. But I thought we should give it a bit of attention anyway, because it seems like a noble cause.
It is a real problem. I'm sure we've all experienced it with games that have, with some server aspect. And in the past, of course, they used to release the server for us to run. And then, of course, it became server as a service that only the games companies or publishers can run. And now I suspect games are so interwoven with their back end that it's almost impossible to extract them. So I don't know where it leaves things, but it sounds like the EU in particular is well placed to kind of force games publishers to come up with a strategy to allow games to continue running after they decide it's end of life for them. Elite Dangerous, which was crowdfunded over 10 years ago, initially made the promise that there would always be a server that people could run were the games company to go bust or could no longer support it. But I think even they quietly dropped that as a promise as the game developed over the last decade. So it's a tough challenge, but it's great to try and create some publicity for it.
In the good old days, there wasn't really much of a vested interest in running the servers as a service because it cost money and it used resources and people had to support it. And so they gave the server software away typically for free, or you could at least get hold of it, or there was a compatible one. But then the advent of microtransactions where you have to pay for every single add-on going and the promise of big bucks, I guess totally destroyed that concept that you could just stand up a server yourself and run it. I think Minecraft is probably one of the few remaining new games that offers a free server. And it's kind of doubly annoying because the reason that you can't just download the server software is because of all the microtransactions, which generate all the money, which then instead of reinvesting into the platform and keeping the servers running, they just pocket and shut the game down. So I think that this is a very worthwhile cause. I don't really know how it will end. Will it be just the matchmaking software side of things and then all of the cosmetics exist perhaps, or perhaps don't exist? Perhaps you revert to the default skins, but you can still play the game. That's probably where we'll end up. And I don't know if that's good or bad, really.
Well, in other gaming news, Dog Walk has been released. Now, this is a very short game, kind of a demo, really, but it's from Blender Studio. Now, I'd not really heard of Blender Studio, but having looked into it, it seems to be training materials for Blender. And so you pay them a subscription every month. I think it used to be DVDs and stuff that they would send you, but it's evolved over the years. And so they've made this game seemingly to promote Blender Studio. obviously using Blender, but also using the Godot engine. And if you are a paying subscriber to Blender Studio, then you can get all the assets for this as well. And I believe, Phelim, you tried this out today.
Yeah, I bought it because I thought I might as well support it because I like both projects.
But it is free.
It is free.
But you can buy an add-on.
Well, look, half the time we spend hoping and finding a way to support the bloody games and projects that we like. And they have done this, and it's very pretty. I only played it for a short while, but it's good crack. Yeah, you're the dog, and it's very simple movement with the mouse cursor to try and get it to do stuff. And like the first thing you do is you have to look for a stick for the kid to stick in the snowman so you can build the snowman and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a fun wee game. But yeah, I mean, it allows people to donate to the projects and get something out of it and see how those projects can do things too, I guess. So it's an advertisement that you get paid for.
I also think it's such a good idea that projects like Godot and Blender, people use their own tools to develop a game that other people are using their titles to produce so that they know all the... I hate the word dog fooding, but this is dog fooding, isn't it? So that they work through all the same kind of problems that developers would, trying to achieve all the same things. And then to produce a game as the outcome and with assets and everything you can share for people to learn from is, I think, just like the best approach to teaching people how to use these tools and to give people the faith in their capabilities before they start investing their time in learning them.
Do you think that's how they came up with the idea? They said, right, we need to do some dog fooding here. Let's make a game. Should we have it a dog eating? No, that's a bit on the nose. What about a dog going for a walk? Yeah, okay, let's go for that.
Hadn't even occurred to me.
But I also know that this is something that other games platforms don't provide necessarily. They have lots of their own examples, but they're not so closely involved with producing their own titles. And this is that, even at a small scale. And I really like the approach.
Yeah, I do too. So check it out. Unless users take action, Android will let Gemini access third-party apps, so things like WhatsApp and messages and stuff like that. Yes, all right, smug Phelim with his ancient lineage that doesn't even have any of this bullshit.
Yes.
Meanwhile, my Pixel, I don't know what action to take here. I uninstalled the Gemini app, but still, when I long press the power button, I still got Gemini Assistant.
It's disgusting, it is. It really is.
Mm-hmm. So then I switched to Google Assistant, the old school one, and I think I've got rid of Gemini, but I don't know. Maybe it's still in there reading all my fucking messages and sending them back to Google.
I hit a similar problem, not on Android, and we'll come back to Android in a minute, but also in Gmail or the entire Google Workspace product. For months and months, the Gemini icon has been there, and I have gone into the control panel for the entire workspace and explicitly disabled Gemini. The icon is still there, and whenever you click on it, it says, oh, would you like to use this? Yes or not now.
Oh, I hate those ones.
Today, literally minutes before we started recording, I went into Google Mail, and it popped up a center of the page, probably a third of the screen width message saying that, did I want to turn on smart features in Workspace, which if I wanted the ability for Google Mail to create calendar items automatically from emails, which it has been doing for years, then I had to enable smart features in Workspace. And guess what comes bundled with smart features in Workspaces? Gemini is there. So they are really pushing this on every avenue they possibly can. So turning it off on Android might not even be enough to save you from Gemini. You will have it whether you like it or not by the looks of it.
Yep. This is true sunk cost fallacy from the big tech giants, isn't it? Like, they've invested so much money in this fucking bullshit that now they just have to cram it in everything they possibly can, because otherwise they'd have to admit that the whole thing was just a failure.
For Google in particular, you know how they spent a lot of time working out how to anonymize data, how to create this kind of complex hashes from the information that they were taking from people's...
I stopped doing those quote marks, Graham. Oh. Jesus.
So, but to me, this is now all about this. I don't know. AI whitewashing of content. They don't have to worry about where it comes from because they just have to say that it went into the LLM somehow. So it's not just about pushing their outputs on us. It's about consuming and whitewashing the inputs for them, which I think is their new model of data consumption and insight-driven output for their bullshit terms. It really is dystopian. And, okay, so it wouldn't be good enough if the quality of insight in the results, for example, was improved, but it's not. Like I said at the beginning of the year, Google results are getting shitter and shitter despite all of this fucking data.
I do use generative AI for things like writing documents and converting notes into proper written words. I use ChatGPT, and increasingly I'm using Claude for help with code, and they are both good tools and I get some use out of them. Gemini has never been of any use to me for anything. The results are more often wrong than they're right in my experience.
So those notes that you convert into, full-blown text, that's presumably to send to other people who will then fucking do the reverse and turn it back into bullet points.
Quite possibly.
Just send people the notes.
I like taking notes with a pen and paper, which is just ridiculous because then I have to get them in the computer. And the way I do that is via ChatGPT voice mode, which is I just ramble at it and it turns it into coherent text. So it is useful in that way.
Could just take a photo of your notes and just use, what is it, OCR?
Then people will see all the cocks and balls that I've been drawing.
Anyway, if anyone knows how with a Pixel phone without flashing some third-party ROM on it, I don't want to do that. Thank you very much. Been there, done that. I want to keep it completely stock, no root or anything, so I can use banking apps and stuff. Is there a way to completely avoid the AI bullshit? I doubt there is, but if there is, please let me know. show@latenightlinux.com.
You put the phone at an angle against a curb, and then you put your foot through the back of the phone mid-center, and then it should snap it right in half.
Or I can just unfold it really quickly.
Joe, did you see the bit at the end of the post that talks about using ADB to uninstall Bard?
Yes, I did, and it was not on my Pixel because I think I've already uninstalled Gemini. Presumably it's called Bard because that's what Gemini used to be called. But no, I couldn't see any mention of that. It didn't work for me. So maybe I'm fine. I don't know. But I suspect I'm not. Okay, this episode is sponsored by Tailscale. Go to tailscale.com/LNL. Tailscale is a proper VPN for connecting your devices and infrastructure together. It's the easiest way to connect devices and services to each other wherever they are. PCs and laptops, servers, cloud instances, 3D printers, network storage, connect anything and everything you want, wherever it is, and get started in minutes. Tailscale's personal plan will always be free, and you get up to 100 devices and 3 users for free with no credit card required. So support the show and go to tailscale.com/LNL and try Tailscale out today. Or if you want to use Tailscale at an industrial scale, with more users and devices, or take advantage of features like MDM policies, auditing, network flow logging, and priority support, try it out at work using the code Linux25. You'll get 3 free months of any Tailscale paid plan, and you can find out why thousands of companies like Instacart, Hugging Face, and Duolingo have switched to Tailscale. That's code Linux25. SUSE to roll out sovereign premium support. So this is the idea that you pay them a little bit extra if you're in Europe and you want everybody assigned to your account to be in Europe so that your data never leaves Europe or there's no danger of your data leaving Europe.
It's interesting that they've come out with it seemingly quickly after the more recent political concerns in the US. It feels like this was turned around quite quickly. And it's interesting for the global Linux OS market. Generally, are Canonical going to offer something like this in short term? It would be interesting to see if they do that. Then I think there's proof that people are asking for this.
Well, yeah, SUSE wouldn't have done this if there wasn't demand for it, surely. It feels like it would be relatively straightforward to do it. In the register piece that we'll link to, they make the point that normally this kind of support moves around the globe based on time zones so that you can have kind of 24-hour support. So, you'll have people in Asia, in Europe, in North America, to try and kind of give you full coverage. Whereas this, you're kind of limiting yourself potentially to European hours, or at least having to pay extra to pay people to work unsociable hours. So it feels like it's only really a money problem. If you've got people in Europe doing this already, are you willing to pay them a bit more to work on sociable hours? And are people willing to pay your company a bit more so that you can then pay them?
Well, I mean, I think you could look this the other way as well. I mean, I think the problem with all the cloud computing providers and all that was going on was a lot of the time you didn't know where your data was, or if you had, it was you were siloed to several locations, whatever. With the likes of this, if you can actually check a box to say, don't dare put this anywhere else, I think that's a really good and strong idea, because there are countries where they have very lax and poor standards for data protection, let alone any of the stuff with like involving Trump, or, you know, whether it's going to be taken away from you or whatever. But I think it's definitely a good move to be as independent as possible. You know, I think it was a poor state of affairs before this, so it's nice to see it.
Although SUSE is not offering hosting in the EU, this is only about the support, because they're not interested in investing in data centers and shit like that.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, you know, there's the likes of Hetzner and OVH and stuff like that already. So I don't think they want to try and get in and try and muscle against those, because they're already big enough already. But, you know, gone are the days where you'd be hosting on Outlook or whatever, and it's like, well, where's my data? Or, you know, on a Gmail server, and it's like, well, where's my email? Is it outside of the EU? And they go, dunno. Because, I mean, I asked them at various Google Tech Talks in the mid-2000s, and yeah, they just would look at me and go, oh, we've no way to tell that. I was like, I'm sure you fucking do, but you just don't wanna. So, you know, I think this is a good sign, especially for projects that are large government-based ones or health-based ones, you know, things where, you know, you're not supposed to be making a profit, you're just providing a service. This is definitely the way to go. Yeah,
and there you go, SUSE users. We did talk about it for once.
I used to buy the DVD box set when I didn't have the internet.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about OpenSUSE at some point. Maybe we should all install it and be forced to use it or something. Be a good challenge. Maybe one day. Ubuntu 25.10 raises RISC-V profile requirements. So the bottom line is, for the RISC-V version of Ubuntu 25.10 onwards, and therefore the next LTS, 2604, it's going to require the RVA23 profile. Now, I'm not going to pretend I know exactly what that means, but I know what it means in practical terms, and that is that all of the RISC-V boards that you can buy right now are not going to work beyond Ubuntu 25.04.
Ouch. So that would also include the latest one that the framework folk had.
I'm pretty sure you cannot buy right now an RVA23 board. I had a quick look and a bit of research into it, and the stuff that's coming, but not yet.
Cling on to that lovely, lovely 686 based hardware. Just keeps on going.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, 2404 is supported for 5 years minimum. So if you've got one of these boards, you're not completely fucked. But it just goes to show that the RISC-V ecosystem is not mature and settled yet.
You could say using it is a bit of a risk. Sorry.
I don't know so much about this, but it doesn't bother me too much. I assume that this is being done so that future support of RISC-V in Ubuntu will be able to target many more capabilities in RISC-V for a much better experience. And my experience so far has been underwhelming. So maybe this is necessary. And if you really do care about RISC-V and running the latest kernel or whatever, then I guess there are going to be better options now.
Yeah, I mean, there's not just Ubuntu, right? There's loads of other distros available.
Yeah.
But Canonical have just decided that they are going to focus on the hot new shit, essentially, when it comes to RISC-V.
I don't know anything about the Canonical side of the story, but that sounds to me like maybe a sensible decision while something is like developing so quickly as RISC-V.
You don't want to get stuck supporting legacy craft for potentially 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like they keep extending this paid for support, don't they?
Yeah. And maybe this is good news. They're saying that we foresee a RISC-V system that we will be able to support for 12 years. And that's something that was like, wow, Something that a couple of years ago we were saying, well, maybe we could see it working, but we weren't sure. Well, now this is this is evidence that it will be working, and we will be able to see it on laptops or servers.
Well, as ever with RISC-V, it's something to keep an eye on, but it's not quite here yet as far as I'm concerned. I've seen plenty of demos on YouTube of various RISC-V boards, and they are getting there, but it's not a case of where I could realistically use any sort of RISC-V machine day to day yet. I don't think many people could. So maybe they are right to just say, look, no, we're going to focus on the newer, more capable RISC-V profile. Firefox is fine. The people running it are not. This is a piece on the Register, and it's kind of a reaction to a piece by SJVN, which was just clickbait bullshit. Firefox is dead to me. I can't believe that they published that. But anyway, Liam kind of says, no, hang on. Let's not go mad here. Firefox is still a much better option than the alternatives. But then he goes on to lay out a catalogue of failures, bad decisions, and just all the shit that we've been talking about for the last, however long this show's been going. And it feels nice to be, I don't know, not alone here, for someone to actually lay it all out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I sometimes feel bad about the way that we lay into Mozilla, because I don't like being negative without offering solutions.
I think we have offered solutions. It was just get rid of the entire board. But yeah, I mean.
Well, yeah, I do think we said employ us as the board, and I think that will solve the problem.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's nice that it is a very real problem. We're not the only people. I know we're not the only people, because quite a few people do get in touch with us to say they agree. But it's nice to not be the only one shoveling shit on the Mozilla Foundation.
Yep. But I'm sitting here looking at Firefox right now.
Same.
I use it every single day. It's a great browser. It's just the management are fucking clueless.
Yeah, and we make a mistake moving to the only other option for web browser. That's a mistake. That's what we're trying to stop from happening.
Yeah. And that's why I think the SJVN piece was just clickbait bullshit. Maybe he has given up on Firefox, but why, if you care about open source and privacy and ad blocking, and I saw a thread on Mastodon saying that they shouldn't be called ad blockers anymore because they're not blocking ads. They're basically protecting against malware at this point. And, you can't really do that in Chrome anymore. So it's the only realistic option for me, Firefox, at this point, as a desktop browser. I just wouldn't use anything else.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, have a read through if you want to see the catalogue of errors and failures and get nice and depressed about it. All right, quick KDE Korner, failing Plasma keyboard.
A lot of people have complained about the on-screen keyboard, which was Mallet. Well, rest assured, the KDE team also know it's shite and are working on a replacement for it. So this will be actually theirs. I think Mallet might be a third party or something. I'm not 100% sure, but that's coming, which I guess if you're using a tablet or something else that doesn't have a keyboard, that is a very good thing to have done and working nicely. So work continues.
Yeah, and on-screen keyboards can be a great security tool as well. If you're not 100% confident in the peripherals you've got plugged in, typing it into the screen can be, that extra bit of security.
That's a fair point.
In certain situations, obviously. But I have heard that argument for on-screen keyboards before, as well as obviously accessibility and tablets as well, which is a huge one. All right, and another This Week in Plasma.
Yeah, and more stuff is coming for the day-night feature, and that I think is quite cool, because obviously we had Jeffrey write into us before about stuff he'd done, but they're putting a lot more stuff internally for those type of cycles. I think that's a cool way to do it, because I think a lot of people could use changes based on time of day. Maybe it's a good way to get you out of work mode and into non-work mode as a way of doing things too, to try and make a balance between the two. But on top of that, there is stacks of bug fixes and things, and hopefully you'll also be able to get the benefit of these soon, Joe, huh?
Well, more on that next week. Right, well, we better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when we'll probably have some discoveries and maybe a KDE update from me. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelan.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.